After my husband threw me out of the house, I used the old card my father left me. The bank went into a panic, and I was left stunned when my name is Emily Carter, and the night my marriage finally shattered wasn't with a loud explosion, but more like a door quietly closing behind my back, one silent click as I stood on the porch of the house I had lived in for 8 years, carrying nothing but a small suitcase and a handbag containing a card I had never used. My father's card, the one he placed in my hand just a week before his death, whispering a mysterious warning. Keep it safe, Emily. If life ever becomes darker than you can bear, use this card. And don't tell anyone about it, not even your husband. At the time, I thought he was speaking with the emotion of an elderly man. My father, Charles Carter, was a respected engineer, a quiet widower after my mother's death, and a man who had saved more wisdom than money, or so I believed. But everything changed the night my husband, Ryan Holt, threw me out of the house. Our conflict had been simmering on low heat for months, but it exploded that night when Ryan came home late once again, carrying the scent of a perfume that wasn't mine. "Don't start," he muttered, tossing his keys onto the marble counter. "I'm not starting anything," I replied quietly. "I'm just tired, Ryan." "Tired of what? Of the life I provide for you?" He laughed, a laugh that once made me feel safe, but now felt like a knife pressed between my ribs. "Emily, you don't even have a job. I'm killing myself working while you—" "While I what?" I whispered. "While I beg you to talk to me? While I pretend I don't know about the woman at your office? The one who calls in the middle of the night?" He froze. Then something inside him snapped. "You know what? If you're that unhappy, then leave." "What?" "Leave." He pointed to the door. "Take your things and get out." "Are you throwing me out? Because of her?" "No," he said coldly. "I'm throwing you out because you've become a burden. It's over." I stood there paralyzed until he pulled a suitcase from the closet and threw it onto the floor. Only then did I understand, really understand, that he was serious. He wanted a fresh start, a divorce, a life with no place for me in it. I gathered what I could, my hands shaking, and stepped out into the cold Denver night. I sat behind the wheel of my father's old Honda, staring at the only thing left in my bag, the black metal card. It bore no bank logo, only a small engraving of a shield wrapped by an eagle. I didn't know which bank it belonged to. I didn't know how much it was worth. And I didn't know why a man like my father would own something that looked this exclusive. But I was homeless. I had only $138 in my checking account, and I had been unemployed for 2 years. I had no choice. The next morning, exhausted and freezing, I drove to a small inn near downtown Boulder. The place smelled of coffee and cedarwood, modest enough not to run strict background checks. "How many nights?" the receptionist asked. "Just one night." He slid the payment terminal toward me. My fingers paused over my bag's zipper. I swallowed hard, pulled out the metal card, and inserted it into the machine. Nothing happened for 2 seconds. Then the receptionist's eyes suddenly widened. Ma'am? Just one moment, please." He smiled nervously and slowly pulled the terminal back, as if he were holding something dangerous. "Ma'am, could you please have a seat? I'll call the manager." My chest tightened. Was the card declined? Had I unknowingly gotten myself into trouble? I sat on the nearby couch, clutching my bag to my chest, watching the receptionist whisper to a man in his 50s, far too well dressed for a modest inn like this. The manager looked at the card, then at me, and his face went pale. "Is this your card?" he asked. "Yes." I inherited it from my father. He stood up immediately. Please, come with me. He led me to a small side room. This wasn't the behavior of someone afraid of fraud, but of someone afraid of making a mistake. He picked up the landline phone. Yes, we have an activation of a black tier card. The name, Carter, Charles Carter. My heart stopped. Yes, I'm certain. Of course, we'll wait. He hung up and looked at me differently now. Ms. Emily, do you know who your father really was? He was an engineer, an ordinary man. He gave a brief smile. No, he wasn't. Just 10 minutes later, a luxury black car stopped in front of the inn. Two men stepped out, dressed in dark suits, wearing no badges, but their presence alone silenced the place. Miss Carter, one of them said respectfully, we're from the Carter Private Credit Authority. We apologize for the disturbance, but we had to ensure your safety immediately after the card was activated. My safety, I whispered. Why? He opened a leather briefcase and pulled out a thick file. Because your father wasn't just an engineer. He was the financial mind behind a network of sovereign funds and secret investments that financed international projects, some of which were never meant to exist on paper. This card isn't a credit card, he continued. It's a key to an account worth over $480 million. The room spun. And more importantly, he added, you are now its sole owner. I remembered my father's whisper, if life ever becomes darker, but he knew, the other man added quietly, that the day you used the card would be the day you became a target. At that moment, my phone rang. An unknown number. Emily, Ryan's voice said, we need to talk, now. I looked at the black card lying on the table, and I realized one thing. The woman who was thrown out of her home last night no longer existed, and the game my father started had only just begun.